It's Monday, May 24th, 2021, and this is The Inbox with Greg Nibler. All right, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is indeed The Inbox with Greg Nibler. That's me. I appreciate everybody. Hit subscribe at 2Box Media. I know it's been a little bit since we had an update, but we're back on track starting this week, and that includes today bringing you up to date on what is going on in the world of technology and beyond. Thanks for being here. Let's get started though. Let's talk about Apple and the new iOS 14.6 update rolling out today for all of you iPhone users. So a couple of key things with this update. Number one, let's talk about Apple Card. So Apple Card, something that Apple's really been pushing of this last year and a half or so as they try to really get into the services side of things. Now with Apple Card, the update is that you can share your card with other people. That includes your family and friends, should you so choose to do so. So Apple Card with family sharing will allow up to 5 people in your family to use the same card. Now, you do have to be 13 years or older, which means kids can use it. And it also will allow you to track expenses. You can manage spending, you can set limits and controls, and you can also somehow build credit together. I guess that's as a collective through that account. So it could be some advantages there. Another update will be to the podcast side of things, allowing for podcasts to give you subscription options where you can get bonus content or maybe ad-free content, however they want to do it. So this is another thing in the big podcast war that's going on right now between Apple Music and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Everybody's trying to get into the game. This is Apple's way to try to entice not only podcasters, but also podcast listeners to want to switch and listen on this platform. So it allows a way to monetize some of that. Coming up in a little while as well, you'll be able to listen to Apple Music with lossless music, a couple of updates to Apple AirTags, and some other things rolling out, but you will see that if you're an iPhone user coming out now. All right, something else to talk about from last week, and I just want to call attention to it, has to do with Ford with their F-150 Lightning. This is the electric version of the F-150. Now, came out the end of last week, but a couple of key things and components to this that I thought were interesting are, one, the price, $39,974 for the base model. That gives you 230 miles on a battery, and that's pretty comparable to what a regular F-150 is. And I think that's a huge bonus for Ford. The F-150 is the highest selling vehicle in the United States. So that's definitely a big thing if they can get that price to be, comparable to that, even within a couple of $100. So they've got that. It's able to tow up to 10,000 pounds, which is about what an F-150 is comparable to. And you'll also have the option to go to a Pro version, which is an upper end version with a bigger battery life and a longer range and all of that comes with it. A couple of things with that battery. You can charge 41 miles in about 10 minutes at about 150 kilowatts for the charging station. So that's a key thing right there to explain that. 150 kilowatt charging station is the more powerful one you can get. People have to have those installed at home, and that's something that's important if you want to be able to charge quickly. Charging stations are going to be another big issue when it comes to electric vehicles, but that's something to be aware of right there. Now, here's another cool little thing that maybe got overlooked in this, and it is Ford saying that actually the battery on this F-150 Lightning can act as an 80 amp battery that could power your home for days if need be, granted, depending on what it is that you're using it for. That means if there's a power outage or anybody's dealing with something like that, you could actually run your home and use the car as a generator. That's an awesome feature in my book. I think that's something that's really cool. Maybe you can do that with other ones and they just don't advertise it enough, but this is something that's pretty cool from the F-150. So again, the Lightning, don't expect those to be out until maybe next year. Everything's kind of delayed right now, maybe even 2023 before we'll actually see the electric F-150 Lightning out there. They've got competition as well with Tesla with the Cybertruck, and you've got Rivian, you've got everybody coming out with their own versions of these, but pretty cool. We'll have to see how it stacks up when it's actually put to the test. All right, continuing on with trending news, let's talk about the Google I/O Developers Conference, which was last week, and a couple of things that I think were overlooked from that as well. Or maybe not overlooked, but maybe you weren't aware of them. A lot of news came out of this conference. First time it was all virtual and where everybody could actually join in and watch. But unless you're a hardcore developer, a lot of it's probably not for you. But some things that will affect everybody, and this is what I wanted to bring up here, is Google Live View now coming out in a more robust fashion to pretty much all of Google Maps. So Google Live View is it's been around in beta, I believe, since 2019, but now it really seems to finally be reaching its promise. And it's this. Essentially, you can pull up any place, wherever you're at. Not only can you get your directions and have them overlaid on the screen, but you can also get all kinds of information about where you're at. This is good since people are coming back to traveling again. It means you could walk down the street. It could show you where a restaurant is and give you what the menu is for that restaurant. You can take a look at what some of the most popular dishes are. You see a fancy landmark or a building, you want to know more about it. It can pop up that information too, all while also overlaying where your hotel is in relation to where you're at. I'll say for myself, when I'm new to a city and I'm visiting somewhere, I do tend to get turned around pretty easy. So that's a nice addition onto there as well. It's all going to be rolling out for Google Maps users, so that's something that's pretty cool. Another thing that Google showcased is Project Starline. This doesn't have to do with space. It has to do with meetings and the way that is changing for all of us. We're all used to online meetings at this point, but why not take them to the next level and make it full on like Star Trek, sci-fi types of meetings? And that's what they're showing with this. It's essentially a hologram, but not really. Let me explain how it works. So these are meeting setups that they have right now on the Google campus. This is what they're doing for some of their meeting rooms. And this is how they envision it working. You'd have a high-end camera. You utilized Google software to 3D, basically create 3D images of who is being filmed. Now, this is then put into this screen right here, which looks like a magic window into another world. And boom, you have a 3D person that you are talking to in real time. That's pretty incredible technology. And again, a lot of what they're doing with this is showing how they're bringing all of these different systems that they have, both hardware and software and AI and everything in between, into one system so that you could use it. They said we'll have more information about that later this year. And I would imagine this is going to be something that, probably going to be in offices at first, commercial settings, but eventually we could see this in our homes as well. So pretty cool with that with Google, with their Project Starline. All right, a couple other key things to know here for this Monday when it comes to technology. How would you like a third thumb? Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because it's just strange, but also maybe a sign of the future. So this is a study that was conducted, and it has to do with how the brain interacts with a sudden new appendage, even if that is a robot appendage. It comes from the University College London in the UK. It's not of London, it's University College London. That was a terrible English accent. Please forgive me for that. Nonetheless, it's a 3D printed thumb. It offers 2 degrees of movement and mobility. You control it by using actually your toes, your big toes in particular. There's some kind of little lever in there, and so it's wirelessly controlled, and apparently it's very intuitive to get used to this. So they put 20 people together who are going to be using this. They had to use it 6 hours a day for 5 days straight. And what they wanted to do was see how they reacted to just like ordinary tasks, what they could do, what would they use this extra thumb for, and then see how the brain interacts with that. And that's where the key indicators are here of this study, the most fascinating parts of it, because the brain apparently started adapting to this and changing the way that it analyzed this. It started basically, to sum it up, and again, I'm not a scientist, but here's the basic results from the scientific study, is that the brain started treating it like it was another appendage. And it's so much so that even the humans who were operating it, after the first couple of days of getting used to it, they could distract them and have them paying attention to something completely different, and they could still operate the thumb in the background. That's pretty scary, actually, a little bit. It's a little bit scary just how quick we adapt to something like that humans were. But hey, where else can this go? I mean, clearly an extra thumb could come in handy. I drop a lot of things that help me keep a hold of my phone so I don't crack it as much, or maybe more realistically on a job site. Of course, for people who have disabilities or are missing appendages, anything along those lines, this could be that. But an additional appendage is what we're kind of looking at here. Where could that go? I think we're all going to end up like Dr. Octopus. That's obviously the end result of this. It'll be a bunch of people with tentacles climbing around. Right now, though, let's just be glad it's just an extra thumb. All right, final thing for you space fans. That's me. I'm a fan of space. I'm a fan of commercial space tourism as well. I want to go to space, by the way. Dear Moon Project, please pick me. That's not what we're talking about right now, though. Here is what we're talking about, and it is Virgin Galactic with their Spaceship Two test that took place last weekend, and it was successful. This is the third test of the Spaceship Two, but the first one to have 2 people on board. 2 human pilots flew, rather. And essentially what happens is you have a big ship or a big plane that goes up and launches the spaceship off of that. So they get very high up into the atmosphere and then launch it up. They went up a little bit over 50 miles, which there's a little debate about whether that's actually in space or not. 62 miles is about where some people call it, but nonetheless, they still call it getting into space. You can get astronaut wings, by the way, for Air Force and Space Force, I guess, pilots, if they go above 50 miles. So it still counts, apparently, in that book. Nonetheless, the test was successful. The idea is to take 6 passengers who were not on board this one, 6 passengers up there to experience weightlessness. You get amazing views. You have a fancy cockpit. You get a cool suit. And you get to maybe even live stream one of the things they were testing with that to send that back down to Earth. Pretty cool. And again, first one to take off from New Mexico. That's where their spaceport is. New Mexico, also known as the Land of Enchantment, in case you were unaware of that. And so good luck, good work by Virgin Galactic on this one. There's probably going to be another test later on this year, maybe gearing up for actual commercial tourists, for those to be going up probably early next year. A lot of this kind of depends on how the tests go, but this was successful. So congratulations to Virgin Galactic. And thanks to you. Thanks to everybody who's watching right now. I appreciate it greatly. We're back on track here for the Inbox with Greg Nibler, but I want you to follow 2Box Media, TWO Box Media, wherever you are. The reason that we've had a little bit of difficulty getting some of these shows out over the last week and a half or so was because we've been so busy, because we're helping to produce live streams. We are a growing company, and if you would like us to help you with your live stream, please get a hold of us. Send us an email, info@twoboxmedia.com, greg@twoboxmedia.com. Follow me on Twitter @Greg Nibler, or Facebook, or wherever you find me, and I will reply back. So just send me a message, and thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back on Friday with another episode of The Inbox with Greg Nibler.